entry section. So again, you will get given an extract. I would suggest following the same structure that I talked about before, where you read the summary. So like for this example, it's a very quick summary. The creature asks Frankenstein to create a companion for him. Easy, tells you exactly what is going to be going on in the extract. So have a read. Then yeah, have a read of the extract. As you can see, again, I've underlined or like bracketed anything that sticks out to me. You go and you read the question. So for this one, I think it's talks about loneliness. I think that's the question that you're then asked to do. So again, I think the chat function might still be open. Let me double check. Yes. So yeah, if this time you could pop into the chat what techniques or anything that stands out to you here. So like for example, maybe let's start with I am malicious because I am miserable. Could someone please tell me what technique that might be or how you might go about analyzing that? Doesn't have to be a detailed sentence, just if you have any idea, please pop it into the chat. I am malicious because I am miserable. What does that suggest to you? Alliteration, yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Fabulous, yeah, alliteration. It's very alliterative. I am what is it? I am malicious because I am miserable. You could say that the M sound is emphasized. Malicious because I am miserable. They're also, I would say that you could also probably analyze that in terms of juxtaposition as well. Malicious because he is miserable. He uses two contrasting adjectives to describe himself. Just as, well, no, you wouldn't use just as, so too here, but he is malicious. Someone who is malicious is it has connotations of evil and a negativity, but that negativity is also exacerbated in his misery. Being miserable suggests that he is very upset. He doesn't live a happy life. So it tells you about the character. It tells you what is going on in the character's life. What about Sorry, I'm making just humming along. Shall I respect man when he contemns me? What would that be? I think we've seen that come up before. Shall I respect man when he contempts me? It was something that we talked about in relation to the persuasive essay topic. Only way he knows how to express his emotions as a monster. Exactly. Yeah, brilliant. So that question, what technique would that be? Shall I respect man when he contempts me? This technique pops up quite a lot through the extract, so it would be a really good thing to be able to analyze. If anyone knows what that is. It was when we were doing, it's one of the words in a forest, if anyone remembers what that was. Rhetorical question. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Catherine. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Yes, rhetorical question. He asks his creator a lot of rhetorical questions in a persuasive way in order to get Frankenstein to question how he has behaved and to question how miserable his life has become because of Frankenstein's rejection of him, really. And he's doing this in a way to elicit pity. What else shall we do? I will revenge my injuries. How would you analyze that word revenge? What does revenge tell you about the character? Yeah, what would you say for revenge? I know it's word choice, but what would you say for revenge? What would something you would analyze be? Think about what it tells you of his character, of his what might happen if he uses the word revenge, what it tells you about his intention. What does it tell you about that? if anyone has any ideas. That's quite sick. I would say that with his word choice of revenge, it really signals his vendetta against, yeah, backs up his malicious behavior. That's exactly it. It's consistent with what we know about him, because he is malicious. It signals that he is willing to perpetrate vengeful acts upon Frankenstein because of everything that's happened. So it's almost a warning to Frankenstein by saying that he will wreak revenge. It warns Frankenstein and it warns the audience that aspects of Frankenstein's life may begin to fall apart because of his revenge. What about the image of Frankenstein as his arch enemy? Again, that's probably along the same lines as revenge. It's very much it villainizes Frankenstein. The word choice of arch enemy, it connotes this distance between them. It connotes a rivalry, which is almost kind of deadly. And again, suggests that not Frankenstein, it suggests that the creature views Frankenstein in a very negative light, which makes the idea of his revenge even more at the forefront, really. Frankenstein then goes on to talk. Okay, so at the end, how would you analyze the last? That's one sentence technically. How do you analyze the last two sentences from "Oh, my creator, make me happy. Let me feel gratitude towards you for one benefit. Let me see that I excite the sympathy of some existing thing. Do not deny me my request." How would you go about analyzing something within those two last sentences? You've got the exclamation marks. You've got some existing thing. You could analyze that. Do not deny me my request. How would you analyze that? Because that is the final part of the extract. So it's there to make an impression, I would say. Any thoughts about that? What about the O? The O is very simple, but it's very effective. It tells the reader a lot about how the creature is feeling. Anybody else have any ideas? I know we've been on here for a while and everyone's probably like, we've just had lunch. Any thoughts come to mind about the O, my creator, make me happy? What kind of emotional response does it conjure from you individually? Let's maybe stop thinking about like, what does it mean? Just think how do you read that? Because again, it's all about your individual interpretation. His perspective develops and changes. Yeah, he's I'd say it's a very tactical decision, but it also probably tactical in a subconscious way, because he says, "Oh, my creator, make me happy." It's almost begging to an aspect of Frankenstein's humanity, which the monster himself really wants to have. He wants to have a companion to assuage his loneliness, and he's seen that through his warnings and through his emotive language, when it's focused in a violent way, it's not given him any sort of joy with Frankenstein in that way. It's not getting any sort of positive response from Frankenstein. So instead, he's trying to appeal to his creator's humanity. He's trying to use more. It's really, it is really sad. I know. Well, it's fair that you're not doing this text again. I think it's just good to be able to recognize what it does to you. And yeah, it is really sad. It really emphasizes, the exclamations emphasize his desperate need for companionship and his desperate plea to not be lonely anymore. It's really sad. I would, again, if you're not studying this, I would highly recommend reading it. I studied it at uni in my first year, I think, and it's not a long book, but it is heartbreaking, and throws up some really interesting interesting questions. So yeah, but again, that's very good to think about analysing different techniques. So again, with this section, this is how I would roughly plan an essay. So starting with this extract, explore how Shelley presents the effects of loneliness and isolation in Frankenstein. Write about how Shelley presents the effects of loneliness and isolation, both in the extract and then in the novel as a whole. So I've decided that in this essay, I'm going to argue that Shelley explores the devastating effects of loneliness and isolation in order to encourage the reader's sympathy for the creature. So again, I would stick to the same structure, have one paragraph for the extract, have a second paragraph for the rest of the novel. So from the extract, I have picked things like the arch enemy, the impassioned language of dreams of bliss, and yeah, again, the exclamations. Thinking about that in later in the novel, how else you could talk about loneliness, how Shelley presents loneliness and isolation and the effects of this. I think it's also good to consider, because it is such a it is a text which is primarily concerned with like the battle between two characters. I think it's also really important to recognize Frankenstein's loneliness, how Victor's work often ends up in him being isolated from other people because of his obsession with his work, and because he kind of almost, in humanizing the creature, he dehumanizes himself because he removes himself from society. So you could talk about that. I think I would have a quote about the effect that community has on the creature when he is with the De Lacy family. It's when he really starts to learn about being human, when he really starts to learn the benefits of community and camaraderie. I would then have a quote which would talk about the violent effects of loneliness and isolation when community and company is stripped from you. So I would talk about the murder of Frankenstein's younger brother William and show the violence of that. And also a point which is good to make, one second, is not to forget how important setting can be. Setting can often be used by writers to juxtapose, it can be used to support, it can be used to symbolize. So in Frankenstein, setting plays a really important part in presenting effects of loneliness and isolation. The setting often mirrors the isolation. There are a lot of, pardon me, really desolate landscapes, really extreme landscapes, such as the Arctic, such as the Alps. They have a really intense confrontation on I think it's Mont Blanc. So yeah, talk about how setting can influence your understanding of the text as well. Yeah, brilliant. Again, if you have any questions about paper one, pop them in the chat. Oh, this is an example. But this is not to do with loneliness, this is to do with grief, so it's a different question. But again, you can see how TEEAL is at work here, talking about using repetition to emphasize the extent of something, how that, using an elaborative sentence to link that between the quote, "My love, my wife, so lately living, so dear, so worthy." The repetition highlights the inextricable link between the two, whilst so demonstrates the admiration he had for her qualities. By drawing attention to Frankenstein's affection and adoration for Elizabeth, Shelley deepens the reader's understanding of his feelings for her, thereby evoking sympathy as he mourns his beloved wife and presenting the overwhelming nature of grief. So yes, I think this one was all about grief in the text. So again, it's just how you see that you can use TEAL within your structure to be able to get to be able to hit the higher level of answers, which will get you the higher marks in the marking scheme.